towards the next question, that is question number 10. What are the characteristic features of euglenoids? Now here we are going to talk about the characteristic features of euglenoids. First of all, if we are talking about the characteristic features of euglenoids, we have to know that what are basically euglenoids and where they are classified into. So euglenoids basically are known as euglena, which are unicellular in nature. That means they are composed of only one cell. They are unicellular bodied organisms. Euglena is a unicellular organism which is included in the Protista kingdom. Euglenoids such as euglena are unicellular in nature and included in the kingdom Protista. They can be found commonly in fresh water. They can be found in commonly fresh water. Also, if we talk about some other characteristic features of euglenoids such as euglena, then they do not have cell wall. The cell wall is actually absent in the members of euglena or in the euglena, instead of which they have a protein-rich layer, protein-rich cell membrane, which is known as pellicle. So they do not have cell wall, instead of which they have a protein-rich cell membrane. Also, they have a light-sensitive eye spot on their body. This is one of the characteristic feature of euglena. Also, they have two flagellas present on the anterior part of their body. Alright, so all these are the characteristics, and the last but not least, they have chlorophyll pigment in their body. They have a pigment which is known as chlorophyll, which is similar to the plants, and hence because of the presence of chlorophyll pigment in their body, they are capable of synthesizing food of their own, by their own. But in the absence of light, they can behave similar to heterotrophs. That means in the absence of light, they can obtain their nutrition by feeding on some other aquatic organisms present in that fresh water. They have a dual mode of nutrition. This simply means that they have dual mode of nutrition, because they are having chlorophyll pigment in their body, by which they can synthesize their own food in the presence of light. But if the light is not present in them, for them, they can switch on to another mode of nutrition, that is heterotrophic mode of nutrition. They can feed upon other aquatic small organisms present nearby in the fresh water. This property, because of the presence of some properties which are similar to the plants and some properties which are similar to the animals, this actually makes them difficult to classify into different categories, or actually it is very difficult to classify whether the euglenoid or euglena is a plant or a animal. So that is why they are known as connecting link between plants and animals. So if we want to write the answer of question number 10 or the characteristics, so the characteristics are as follows, and we are talking about the characteristics of euglenoids. So the first characteristic of euglenoids is the euglenoids such as euglena is unicellular. That means the body is actually composed of only one cell. They are unicellular in nature and they can be found in fresh water. They can be found in fresh water. Next thing, they having two flagella. They're having two flagella on the anterior portion or anterior part of their body. So they are having two flagella on the anterior portion of their body. also they do not have cell wall. They do not possess cell wall. So cell wall is absent in them. Cell wall is absent in them. Instead of which they have a protein layer, a protein rich layer. They have a protein rich layer which is known as cell membrane. That means their cell membrane is actually protein rich. Instead of which they have a protein rich cell membrane. Alright, so they are not having cell wall, which is a feature of plants. Instead of which they are having protein rich cell membranes. So we can conclude that they are animals because of the presence of cell membrane only and the absence of cell wall. We can consider them as animal, but they are also having some features similar to the plants, that is the presence of chlorophyll. So if we talk about, first of all, if we talk about the fourth feature, they have a light sensitive eye spot, and as I already mentioned that they have a feature similar to the plants, that is they have a pigment which is known as chlorophyll. So they have chlorophyll pigment which is similar to the plants, and because of the presence of chlorophyll pigment, they can synthesize their own food, and if the light is not present for them, if in the absence of light, they can switch on to another mode of nutrition, that is heterotrophic nutrition. And from here we can conclude, because of the presence of chlorophyll pigment in them, we can consider them as plant. But on the other hand, we know that they do not have cell wall, and the main characteristic features of a cell of plant is they have cell wall. So we cannot consider, or we cannot clearly classify the euglenoids into plants, whether they are belonging to the plants or whether they are belonging to the animals, because they are having the features which are similar to animals, they are having also the features which are similar to plants. So they are having chlorophyll, and with the help of chlorophyll they can synthesize their own food. In the absence of light, they can switch on to another mode of nutrition, that is heterotrophic nutrition. That means they can obtain their nutrition by feeding upon some other aquatic organisms present in the fresh water. And because of the presence of both the features similar to animals and plants, this is difficult for us or scientists to classify them into a particular categories. That is why they are put into the kingdom Protista, and they are considered as the connecting link between plants and animals, because they possess the features similar to both of the plants and animals. So these are the characteristic features of euglenoids here, and we have completed the solution of question number 10.